Welcome back to Winning Hand. My name is Boomguy, and I am here with my good friend AndyR. How are you, Andy?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. We are here with our deck series called All Hands on Decks, where Andy and I talk about decks you should be playing and deck builders we think you should be paying attention to. Are you ready, Andy?
I am so ready. Super excited for this one.
Yeah, have you been playing a lot of Marvel Champions recently?
Yeah, so I just got done with my Peter Regression phase. Got to play that for like a month and a half. It was super fun taking through campaigns, and now I'm in that in-between period where like I have a couple of ideas that I want to go to. We'll see if I can get that built, all of that fun stuff. What about yourself?
Yeah, I've been playing quite a bit recently. I've been testing decks. So we started doing a new thing on the Winning Hand podcast, which is this is not an episode of that. It's a kind of an offshoot. Sure. But on the Winning Hand podcast recently, I started doing a thing where I bring a deck that I built that uses or features a card of the day in some interesting way. And so I've been doing that, and the initial response has been really good. I asked people to send in their decks and send things that they try and push themselves a little bit and publish those decks and share them with everybody. So I've been kind of bringing them all together on the deck that I published so people can find them easily and share them. And it's been really fun. I've been enjoying pushing myself to build some of these cards that are maybe less used, which we kind of end up talking about a lot of cards that aren't the hotness anyway.
Yeah.
And then I doubled down on that by using heroes that I don't use very often. So I'm pushing myself to build with cards, but then also push with heroes that I haven't played or haven't played much of or didn't like the first time, to try to really push myself and use all my cards in my collection.
Yeah, I love that, especially like to get to enjoy the different context. Some of these cards, it's just about context. Same with the heroes. So you can put them in a place where you'll have fun with them. And I love that the card pool is big enough that you can actually do that.
Yeah, I'm firmly of the opinion there are no bad cards. There are just cards, and
just misunderstood.
Many of them are situational, and you just need to find the right situation and the right deck to put them in. But I think every single card has a use in the card pool and is playable. There are no unplayable cards. I have seen a lot of cards that people kind of glossed over early started to come back. We talked about Great Responsibility on my last podcast episode. I know you have been using the Enhanced Awareness, Enhanced Physique cards. I've seen you pull those back.
I love those things.
I've seen people using Tenacity again. And there's a lot of cards coming back that people wrote off as like bad, quote unquote. Yeah. And then, I hear from new players who listen to the podcast who say, I listened to this card about Great Responsibility. I never considered using that card. I joined the game after the core set. Everyone said that card was terrible, so I didn't even look at it. But now, talking about it intrigued me and made me want to give it a shot. And then so I started building a deck and playing with it, and I find some use cases for it. And that is the best.
That's what I love. That's what I love to hear.
Same.
Like these cards that the community overall, and like we're talking about the just like the middle of the standard curve, and we neglect those tails where like you can have some of the most fun in those sides of a card's usefulness. Yeah,
and building Great Responsibility made me realize that that card's actually pretty good. Yeah. And it also made me realize that Foiled is also a good card. That's another card that people have disparaged for years. Hot take, you heard it from Boomguy. That's actually a good card.
That's fair, man. You could block anywhere from 1 to 4 threat through it. Like that's
0.
Pretty legit.
Like this is good.
I
just don't. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good card. Okay, so today we usually do this series. We talk about a series of decks, and we do it with a thematic element. We pick a theme for the episode, and this time I started to notice a month or two ago that there was a lot of decks with a musical theme. They were picking songs or song lyrics or song titles, and so I started to see if we could find enough of them to fill an episode with, and we did. So this is all about musical decks that use music or songs in some way, and we found quite a few cool ones.
I'm super excited about it because you're right. Like there's a period where like everyone was referencing them, and I do believe with Falcon's release we'll see some more musical themed decks, and it'll all be a lot of fun. It definitely adds to just have a nice cheery like, oh, when I play this deck I'm gonna be thinking about this song, and that's gonna make it all the more fun. Like enhances the experience.
100%. You can listen to the song while you're playing the deck, or you can just hum it in your head, or it'll be in your brain. So it's an earworm, as they say. We should say we are recording this the week after Falcon was released. So he's still pretty fresh. Same with Winter Soldier. They are both very new. I do have one Falcon deck that I'm going to talk about at the end to kind of toss in, but he's very new. He's been out less than a week in the United States where we are. So there aren't a ton of the decks out there right now that are tested, but people have been posting them immediately. So he's new though for us. All right. So you know what? I'm going to go first. It's my show, and I'm going to go first.
Yeah.
So we are going to start with a really fun one here. Let me share my screen. If you are watching this on YouTube, then you are going to see the deck on the screen. If you are not watching this on YouTube, you're missing out. You can listen to this, and this is totally the same content if you listen. You just cannot see the deck as we're talking through it. So for each of these, if you are listening audio, I will have links down below in the show notes. I will have those also on YouTube. But if you're listening, I will read the deck list, so all the cards that are included, and then we'll talk it through. And if you're watching on YouTube, that's somewhat duplicative. You see it as I talk through it, but, that's what we got. All right, this deck is called Jump Around. It is a Jubilee leadership deck. You should immediately, just a saying Jump Around should immediately evoke like the song in your mind. It's such a popular song. Okay, so this is by the deck builder Sort of Board. I think he goes by Monkey online. I've seen him talking around.
Oh, no way. I didn't realize. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was the same
Sort of
person.
Board is his YouTube channel, and he's Monkey, Munkey. So this is obviously Jump Around by House of Pain, and he uses the lyrics throughout the deck description. They're bolded and italicized, so, pack it up, pack it in, let me begin. I'm in. I came to win.
That is so in my head now.
Yes, it's going to be in your head all day.
Right.
And he says in here, the classic X-Men animated series introduced Jubilee in 1992, the same year the classic song Jump Around came out. So that's awesome.
Nice.
I'll read the deck list and then we'll talk about it. So again, it's Jubilee leadership. It includes Allies, Beast, Caliban, Cyclops, Hope Summers, M, Phoenix, Pixie, and Professor X. It includes 3 copies of Mutant Mayhem and 3 copies of Sneak Attack. It includes Call for Backup and New Recruits as player side schemes. The 3 standard double resource cards. Then it has 1 copy of Children of Atom, Leadership Training, Team Building Exercise, Triskelion, X-Jet, Uncanny X-Men, and Utopia. It has 1 copy of Mission Leader and 2 copies of Rapid Response. So, this is one of the really fun ones. I enjoyed reading this a lot because, again, it has the lyrics of the song woven in to the description, and it talks about how to use it. I'm not going to read this whole thing. I'm scrolling it right now if you're watching. It is very long. I'm just going to keep scrolling. I'm still scrolling. I think it literally has all of the song in here. Look at that. The first one that commented, AndyR.
Hey.
He commented in January. So there's a lot to unpack here, but right away, this is, the thematic element of jumping around is Mutant Mayhem, and it's centered around Mutant Mayhem. So you want to play Allies. You're going to use Children of the Atom to make all of them every X keyword, right? Force, Men, whatever the other ones are. And then you're going to Mutant Mayhem, bounce them up, bounce them down. You're going to jump up, and you're going to jump down. And then, All right. That's enough of me. That's basically the whole deck. Andy, what do you think?
I mean, jump around. Yeah,
jump up and get down.
It looks solid. Like I love the way that they incorporated Mutant Mayhem and then just these allies with impressive play from your hand abilities. Mm-hmm. And so or even just enters play,
yeah.
Yeah, like that. And one of my favorite things about Mutant Mayhem is that you don't have to worry about that, like how it was worded. Because sometimes I can get to these really confusing things. It's like, oh, did I play this for my hand? I just put it into play. Did I whatever it is? And this is just like, you know what? It enters play, put it in, and then have fun. I was a little surprised to see Sneak Attack in the deck list. And so definitely curious, is that just to help you get someone like M in and then you start jumping around? Or, what does that look like?
That's how I played it. Sneak Attack lets you get really expensive allies into play. You put them into play, and if they're in play at the end of the phase, you discard them. But I think, as I understand it, Mutant Mayhem interrupts that. So Mutant Mayhem will then bounce them back in, and that will be when they were played. And as I read it, as I understand it, then that no longer applies as the discard. So Mutant Mayhem is the key card here. If you don't know what that is, I should say is a 3-cost leadership event. It's an alliance card, so it can be paid by anyone at the table. And the hero action is choose an X-Force ally and an X-Men ally and return them to their owner's hands. Those players play those allies, ignoring their resource costs. So you are actually playing them. You're not putting them into play. They're just all getting played. And that can do a lot of things. Obviously, any ally who has an interplay ability like Beast is just going to do it again. Caliban's going to do it again. Cyclops does it again. Hope, Summers, most of them have that.
Yeah.
It also can help. I've used Mutant Mayhem for other decks where you'll put out, for example, Cable and X-23, who have very powerful abilities, but bouncing them up, putting them back in again, refreshes their hit points. So you just use them a bunch and then bounce them up, bounce them back in. They're fully healthy, and you can keep going. So this really awesome. Focuses on the interplay abilities, and I think it's great. Leadership training, a card that all those training cards kind of get poo-pooed a lot. But this works really well here. You're going to flip down with Jubilee and shuffle Mutant Mayhem back in. It works to shuffle an event in. Really good. Team building exercise helps you pay for stuff. Uncanny X-Men helps you pay for stuff and makes everyone amazing. Utopia readies everything. This is a pretty straightforward deck, but pretty fun, actually.
Yeah, agreed. I think the only thing that I would be curious about, if I were to play this, I might take out Uncanny X-Men and replace it with a second Children of the Atom. I know that seems kind of heresy to remove Uncanny X-Men, but since you're going to be bouncing them, I'm not too worried about their health. And then if you're going to be sneak attacking or mutant mayheming, I'm not too worried about paying their cost. So I don't know that I'd spend the 3 on Uncanny X-Men. I think I would rather just a second Children of the Atom to get that out quicker and then play the second one onto someone else if I get a chance. But other than that, it looks so fun. It looks very resourceful. It looks like it knows what it wants, and then fun recursion with rapid response and then just getting a chance to call for backup, all that stuff. It just is. It looks like a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's a really super fun deck. I had a good time playing it, and again, just reading the description just brings a lot of smiles to my face. So please do yourself a favor, go like the deck, read the deck description. It's just...
And jump around.
Get out your seat and jump around, as they would say. So that is the first deck that I had to share today. I'm going to let Andy go next. Andy brought a couple different ones. I'm just going to open a random one that you sent, and you're just going to have to... You're just going to have to go with what I give you. So here comes Andy's first deck. I wonder if Andy even knows what it is.
I know.
All right, here it is.
Come together right now magnetically. So Magneto in protection. We have for the deck list. We have for allies Brother Voodoo, Iceman, Northstar, Polaris, Professor X, Starhawk, Victor Mancha, White Fox. For our events, we have 3 Ever Vigilance and 3 What Doesn't Kill Me. For player side schemes, we're bringing 4. We're taking Astonishing X-Men, Build Support, Specialized Training, Superpower Training. We have 3 basics, the Energy, Genius, Strength. And then for supports, we're bringing Moira McTaggart, Stepford Cuckoos, the X-Jet, Weapon X, and X-Bunker. And then with upgrades, we have Deft Focus and X-Gene. And so this deck, whenever you have Magneto, there's a couple of things that we usually build around. It's either Magnetic Pull or Readies. And this one definitely wanted you to be able to do the readying side of things. With 3 Ever Vigilance, 3 What Doesn't Kill Me's, you are readying and using those activations, which is always a good thing to do. And then that way, with having 3 of those and not necessarily needing any setup, if they get discarded from Magnetic Pull, there's always another one coming. Your chance to draw into them are pretty good, and you can use your Magnetic Pull without fear. And I also love there's a couple of different things around here to help. One is you're with superpower training, you're trying to get ways to get that cape quicker, to get the extra ready off of Magnetic Pull. And then with something like X-Bunker and Moira, you're definitely able to make your alter ego be a little more useful. You can use X-Bunker to draw up to 4 cards because we have 4 player side schemes. So that way you can grab the card you want before you Magnetic Pull. And then when you flip up, draw a card. That helps you a ton to make sure that your Magnetic Pulls aren't discarding the thing that you want to. You picked the card you wanted to pick. And then everything is good from that point. So this one, fun protection. Obviously it's the Beatles song Come Together. And once again, as you're playing it, and you're just like kind of singing the song in your head. And it's pretty great. And then on the other side, like, I do want to lastly say, it doesn't just neglect protection. Sometimes I think protection is despite being the most, like, others focused, can also, as an aspect, accidentally become the most self-centered focus, where you're trying to use your ability to defend for yourself so that you can either do damage or take thwart. And that's a big temptation. Like the readies aren't necessarily because you're going to defend for someone on the villain side. It's just because you want to do more stuff around. But I do appreciate that the allies really help you make sure that you do get to do some table-oriented protection things, whether it's Iceman stunning people, North Star turning away boost cards, or Victor Mancha doing minion defense. Like, there still is that sense of protection for the table. And so I definitely like that this deck kind of centered around both of those.
Yeah. I didn't play this deck, but, reading through it, I can see, I think, how it would play. Magneto has a very similar play pattern, kind of regardless of how you build him. Maybe that's the case for a lot of heroes, actually, but I find that Magneto's, if I made a continuum of, how similar each game is with a hero, I think Magneto's near the top of that for me.
Yeah.
He very plays the same. That magnetic pull makes games feel not samey in a bad way, but it just feels very, like, consistent and just the same thing. And once you get his 2 upgrades, right, his armor and his cape, it really means you're readying every turn and getting an extra. One of them is going to have an extra stat to it. So it's just really good. Ever vigilant, what doesn't kill me. Adding those stat boosts just adds up. That makes sense to me. No, this looks fun. I think again, like what you talked about is true. You're always discarding things, and the risk with Magneto is you're going to discard past a bunch of cards that you put in, and so it can lead him to feel inconsistent in the aspect, but consistent with his hero cards, and that's just something to be aware of. But I love the alter ego stuff. I love the use of X Bunker here, which is a card I don't see that often outside of Cable. Weapon X, flipping down means you're going to get Moira, Weapon X, and X Bunker. So you're going to have 3 extra cards when you flip up. That's huge. Flip up with a 9 hand size and then magnetic pull for a 10th card. That's crazy. He's just rich. So, and he has 6 double resources in there. You're probably going to end up with one of those. Money. He's got money.
Yeah. Agreed.
No, this is cool. I like this. The song, awesome. Anything else to say about this one before we move on?
No, I mean, I do. As much as I said no,
go.
The last thing is the deck builder, King Barbarossa, always has great decks that I feel like are underrated. Like, this as an example of them. So, like, as we talked about Sort of Board, and they've got their YouTube channel I hope people check out. King Barbarossa, like, take a look at their decks. Like, they're pretty great. I've enjoyed getting to play a lot of them.
58 published deck list, it says. I'm looking at this live as we're recording.
Yeah.
Oh, man. He's got...
but a lot of them kind of go unnoticed, and they're all
here.
really good.
Yeah, there's not a lot of likes on many of these. They're almost all of them are under 5, except for this Magneto deck that we featured today. Ironically, I didn't pick your favorite deck on purpose, but your most popular deck. But yeah, go check this deck builder out, King Barbarossa. I can't say I'm super familiar with them off the top of my head. They're not one of the names that I remember that jumps out, but yeah, good stuff. Awesome. Let me stop here, and we will...
Your turn.
My turn, baby. All right, are you ready? What is
I'm ready.
Boomguy going to pick next? Honestly,
I'm excited to know what the song is, Like, that's part of the fun is, like, which song was picked.
If I was, like, a really good editor, I would, like, add some songs in here, some music, like a bed as we kind of led up here. But I'm not, so I won't. But instead, here is my next one. It is a Spider-Woman aggression leadership deck called Tick Tick Boom, which I think is the title of a movie that I saw not that long ago. But really, it's about it's all kinds of boom. It's Here Comes the Boom. Lots of references to different boom song titles, which of course resonates with me.
Sure,
Boomguy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man, how did I not put that together?
I mean, come on. We also have Boom Boom in the deck, and so. If you want to be featured on my stuff and anything with boom,
Boomer Vision.
Just kidding. Boomer Vision, that's it. Okay, let's read the deck here. So it's Spider-Woman. It includes Beak, Boom Boom, Dust, Forge, Gold Balls, Richter, and Sunfire. That is an eclectic mix of allies that I don't see often.
Yeah.
For events, it includes 3 copies of Get Ready, 3 copies of Make the Call, the 3 basic doubles, and then 1 power of aggression, excuse me. It includes Children of the Atom, 3 command teams, a Helicarrier, a Quinn Carrier, a Utopia, a Deft Focus, and 3 copies of Gatekeeper.
Ooh.
Gatekeeper. I like these minion attachment things, so that's great. So this is here. The idea is, he says, is to get boom. This is by DM Tip. DM Tip. I Met You is really good decks, actually. You mentioned this by King Barbarossa, but DM Tip has consistently awesome decks that I really enjoy and you should check out.
Yeah.
But I met him at the Con of Heroes last year and again this year. Good dude in person, good deck builder online. The idea here is you want to put Boom Boom in as early as possible and start building up those Boom Boom counters. Now, Boom Boom, for those of you unfamiliar, is a 3-cost X-Force ally with 1 attack, 1 thwart, and 2 health. No one cares about that. Really, the action is exhaust Boom Boom and add a Boom counter to her. Then you may discard Boom Boom to deal 1 damage to each enemy for each Boom counter on her. So if you get Boom Boom in the game early, on turn 1, you don't deal damage. You just can exhaust Boom Boom every turn, and you're just basically banking damage for later. And then you explode at the end. So I think that's a super fun thing, and you just have to find a way to get her out a little quicker. This one uses Make the Call to get that out very, as fast as you can. Or if you miss it, you can get her out. Get Ready gets lots of Boom Booms, and then you have other stuff going on here if you can't find Boom Boom right away, but you just want to explode Boom Boom as much as possible.
Yeah.
With Children of the Atom, a Utopia, everything is going to ready Boom Boom, so it's built around Boom Boom. So if you have Children of the Atom in play, Def Focus, or not Def Focus, you play an ally, Utopia triggers, readies Boom Boom, get another counter on Boom Boom. Get Ready, play Get Ready, ready Boom Boom, get another counter on Boom Boom. So Boom Boom is very quickly going to build up counters.
Yeah.
And then you want to go from there. So that's kind of the gist of the deck. It is not like the most complicated, intricate deck, but it's fun and it's effective. And it's cool to see Boom Boom, because Boom Boom does damage to everything, not only enemies, but all of them. So you could clear a board more than even Dive Bomb can.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
That is the best part. Yeah, I definitely am with you of like DM Tip, great person.
Yeah.
It was really cool to get to meet them at the con last year. This year, decks are incredible. And this one definitely is fun in that, like, Boom Boom, and then Command Team, which is now officially Exhaust Command Team, move a counter onto Boom Boom. And I think that, like, this is such a well-done deck. And my favorite thing is, whenever I see these Boom Boom decks, usually the hard part is that Boom Boom's kind of a one-and-done thing, and by the time you get Boom Boom to where you want to do something, it's kind of too late. The game's already done. We're missing the effect of her, and this deck centers around making sure you don't miss it, because you can use her, you can bring her back, you can use her some more, and so there's no like, oh, we really need to use it now, and that feels bad because I was hoping to get 20 counters on her. It just is use her, bring her back, get to use her again, and you're not missing a beat. And that is really cool about the way this deck manages Boom Boom.
Yeah, I think it's super fun. Boom Boom is a cool ally anyway, but I really like how it just went all in on Boom Boom and was like, let's go. Let's just jack Boom Boom up as many counters as possible and then explode everything. I think that's really cool. In solo game, you might be able to just wipe out the villain pretty quickly, but even in a multiplayer game, villains start to get overrun. They all put Gatekeeper on them. Boom Boom explodes. You just clear a bunch of threat. If you put Marked in here, you could just, more damage. It's crazy.
Yeah. Definitely, like, even just if I were to take this up against Ultron, I would not feel guilty at all about using Boom Boom just to clear. There's always that turn when you put out 30 minions and you don't want to have to use, a damage or 2 damage to deal with all of them. But Boom Boom, I would 100% spend 3 resources to, like, use her, bring her back.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah, especially this one where you can make the call and just go get Boom Boom again. Awesome. Yeah. I really like this. This is a cool deck, DM Tip. So Tick Tick Boom, check this one out. Worth your time.
Yeah, and add the movie to the playlist.
Add the movie. Have you seen the movie?
I haven't seen the movie. I want to, though, because it's got Andrew Garfield in it, and I would love to see it.
I know nothing about I'd heard it's about this guy who wrote the musical Rent.
Yes.
I've never seen Rent. I've only heard of it.
Oh, yeah?
Tangentially. I don't really know much of what it's about. But it was cool. It made me want to try to. I still haven't watched it, but the movie was good. Andrew Garfield's cool.
Love it.
Even outside of his, Spider-Man suit. All right, we have the next one. Are you ready, Andy R?
I'm ready.
One? All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Here's your second deck.
Do you want to build a snowman?
You can't say it without singing it.
Right?
Do you
have to
build a snowman? Yeah, I'm a terrible singer.
I don't even know the rest of the lyrics of the song, but that
either.
one I'm ready for.
Yeah.
And like as someone who has a kid, like Frozen is common around, and you can't help but play Iceman and play a snow clone and think like, do you want to build a snowman?
Right.
So this deck is Iceman in Aggression called Do You Want to Build a Snowman? And it has some allies. We have Beak, Legion, Professor X, Psylocke, Shadowcat. For events, 3 Looking for Trouble, 3 Mutant Education. For resources, we have the big 3 Energy, Genius, Strength, and 2 Power in All of Us. For supports, we have 3 boot camps, a Cerebro, 3 team building exercises, the X-Jet, and Utopia. And then all the upgrades are his standard 5 upgrades. And so the whole idea behind this deck from Gamma Fiend is that we want to be able to play snow clones and then play lots of frostbites so that snow clones are activating. And snow clones themselves, 2 cost. They attack for 2, they have no ability to thwart, and they cannot have upgrades attached. And they also take -1 consequential damage if it attacks an enemy with Frostbite. So you want to be able to get Frostbite on like the villain or minions and then let them attack. And with Boot Camp, they're attacking for 3. So with both of them out there, 6 damage each turn that you get a Frostbite on someone is pretty awesome, pretty crushing. And then the rest of the allies and Looking for Trouble help you as far as just making sure that you are assisting with Thwart. And this is a solo deck, so I do think it wasn't necessarily meant to do multiplayer, though I think it has good bones to be a good multiplayer deck. You might remove out Looking for Trouble because they wouldn't necessarily be needed, but then the rest of it, I think you're good to go. So, for the most part, get your team building exercises, do lots of ice things, get your snow clones, and use Cerebro to help you find your snow clones if you're struggling to find them. If something causes you to lose them because of some like treachery or anything like that, you use Mutant Education, shuffle them back in because they are an identity-specific card, as well as any of your ice cards that can help you get Frostbite on things. And so this was a lot of fun to get to play, to get to see snow clones center in with boot camp. And then I do love there are 3 boot camps in there that you, if you do play with others, you can get them on there. But also, chances are you can probably find that either on your first or second turn.
I have some thoughts on this one. First of all, Gamma Fiend is not a deck builder I have seen before. They have 5 published deck lists. Okay. It says on this profile, I love those heroes who have received gamma radiation, which, okay, then I click on it, and they have 5 lists. 4 of them are Hulk. Hey, that's cool, and one of them is Iceman, so I'm glad we picked the outlier here. I am going to sound like an ignoramus here. From reading, I cannot tell the difference between Portuguese and Spanish. I speak neither, but they're similar enough to me. I'm assuming this is in Spanish, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah?
I don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, not really. Though
You dabble?
Either way, a little bit.
You
so
could
I
use
do
Google
I do
Translate.
believe this is Spanish, but I did in fact use Google Translate to read it. For sure. There's no doubt about that. But also, I do feel like the deck is pretty playable without necessarily needing to have read. Like, it's a good, informative, use these things. You can use Utopia to ready either Iceman yourself or your snow clones. But at the end of the day, I Google translated it.
I like, I'm a big fan of Mutant Education in a lot of these X-Men. That's an insane card. I generally would pair it with an X-Mansion to get that extra card draw for a character like Iceman. I feel like, I don't think it's required, but he does benefit from that extra card draw. I've played a lot of Iceman. His economy can be a little rough.
Yeah.
I love the 3 team building exercise here and 3 boot camp. I'm becoming more of a fan of adding in multiples of an upgrade that you want to see quickly. I think that's really cool. I might even consider adding in X-Men Instruction into this deck. If you're already flipping down and you want to shuffle in the Snow clones, you can get them with either X-Men Instruction or Mutant Education just to increase the chances you'll shuffle them back in. Or you can do a Snow clone and another Iceman card with Mutant Education. So I might think about adding that in here. Depends on how much you're planning to flip to Alter Ego.
Sure.
But it feels like with Cerebro, they're probably planning to flip down a decent amount.
A fair amount, yeah. Like, I think the hope is to confuse with Psylocke, flip down, get to use Cerebro. And I will say, like, with Professor X, Psylocke, and then, Legion Shadowcat, all of them high thwarters. So even if you can't confuse, you're flipping down, they'll easily help you remove the 3 to 4 threat that'll be added from the villain phase. And then you can do all of the Alter Ego shenanigans you want.
Yeah, he doesn't have a ton, but he does shuffle a lot of cards back in, which is awesome. So lots of card shuffling in here. No, I think this is an interesting deck. You said it's solo, right? I can't tell
it is solo.
Okay.
But I do think there is you take out Looking for Trouble and, find some cards that help whatever table or situation, maybe even, like you said, add in X-Mansion and a couple of X-Men Instructions. And, you still have a pretty solid multiplayer deck.
Now, this is not a new deck, I should say. Right. At the time of recording, I am excited to build a new Iceman deck with Spoiling for a Fight. That is a card I think really helps him. Anything that readies, obviously, is just really good for him.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to build Iceman. So that's a recommendation I'd make here, but obviously it wasn't available to them, so it's not fair to judge them by that. But if you're building this deck today, I might try to include that. Even over Looking for Trouble, to be honest. If you could just do a direct swap, I think that's a fair change. Yeah. I might rather have that. But yeah, so that's awesome. Final thoughts on, do you want to build a snowman?
I do want to build a snowman, but it is July. Oof. And the chances of me doing that, not likely right now.
It is hot. It is hot, man. Yes. I can't believe how hot it's been where I live. So I hope everyone's staying cool. Okay, let's go to my next deck. All right, I'm going to save this next one. I'm trying to plan. I want to save some bangers for the end. Not that they're all
nice.
They're all good, but
Sure.
All right, this one is The Sound of Silence, which by Solo Marvel Champion. It does use some lyrics in the write-up, which I'm a big fan of, a thematic write-up. It says, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again." You can't even say it I can't say it without hearing it in my voice.
Doing the pacing, yeah.
Paul Simon's doing it. Anyway, he's got a bunch of them here. And he has a fairly lengthy write-up. Solo Marvel Champion, awesome guy. He has a YouTube channel. He's not very active on Discord, but he posts a lot of decks on Marvel CDB, and he's on his YouTube channel. He plays a lot of solo games, as the name would suggest. He does some other videos, too, that aren't just gameplay, but a lot of gameplay. Very good person that I've talked to. Enjoy him. Let's talk through the deck. It is a Justice Magic deck. So I'll talk through the deck list and we'll go over it. So it has Cypher, Forge, Mockingbird, Professor X, White Fox, and Wolfsbane. 3 copies of One Way or Another, 3 copies of Spiritual Meditation, 3 copies of Upside the Head, and 1 copy of Zone of Silence. 3 Digging Deeps and the 3 basic double resources. Utopia and 2 copies of Vigilante Training. Love to see that. 3 copies of Chance Encounter, 1 Endurance, and 1 Sorcerer Supreme. So this is in many ways just a Mystic good stuff deck, I think. This is just Sorcerer Supreme, Zone of Silence, Spiritual Meditation. You're just putting in good stuff. And as you should. If you're playing a Mystic, you should play Sorcerer Supreme because it's an awesome card.
Yeah.
And Spiritual Meditation. Spiritual Meditation, I will say, just quick tangent. Anyone who listens to the Winning Hand podcast know I love tangents. Spiritual Meditation is an awesome card, and Lazy Titan from the Winning Hand podcast and I recently had a debate. He said that might be the best card in the entire game.
Ooh.
Andy, what do you think?
I think he's got a good case for it. I don't know. Best card in the game. That's a hard one. I can't think of anything that I would love more than it, as much as the ability to take from the next 2 cards and then pick which one you want to have in your hand is a super powerful play. That you could do it in both Alter Ego and and in Hero. Like, there's a lot of good things going for it.
And it doesn't have to be one of the ones you drew. It can just, you put 2 cards in your hand, and then you just pick one of all the cards and get rid of it. Like, odds are you have one that you aren't going to play anyway, or you don't need that much.
Yeah.
It's an incredible card. Would you rather have that card or Sorcerer Supreme, though?
Ooh, between the two, I would rather Sorcerer Supreme.
That was my point. Lazy Titan disagreed.
Oh, yeah? No, so to me, like, the biggest thing is spiritual meditation kind of replaces itself, right? Like, you play it, you grab 2 and discard 1, so you're always, if you start with a 5-hand size, you play spiritual meditation, you're still at a 5-hand size. And so, like, the most you did is you got to pick what card you wanted to kind of replace it with. The nice part about Sorcerer Supreme is that +1 hand size means that you have resource smoothed and you still are getting an extra option. So, man, I do feel like Sorcerer Supreme is the better card.
Yeah, I think Sorcerer Supreme is a better card because, especially early, it's just you're getting more value over time. You're just drawing more cards.
Yeah.
But hey. Anyway, back to this deck. This one. It's about readying magic. It's about using her basic activations. A lot of it is upside the head. It's just trying to status the villain, which is good.
Yeah.
Wolfsbane is awesome for magic because you name a card on the top of your deck and discard it, and you can add it to your hand if it's the right type. She always knows what it is. So, another great Falcon ally. It's yours. It's your deck. So no, bad Falcon ally. Scratch that.
Just kidding, everyone.
Just kidding. But Cypher is here. He combos well with Upside the Head. Zone of Silence is an awesome card. All the Mystic cards are just really, really good. So there's only one of them. If you could have 3 Zone of Silences, that would be crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
There's not a lot to say here about this one. I think this is just like good stuff. Digging Deep is here because you discard off the top of your deck a lot. So you're just getting value from all these cards, really. Chance encounters, digging out the allies that you want from the side schemes that you play with one way or another. Like, it all just kind of works. And it works in a way that isn't normally a deck that appeals to me. It feels very spiky. It feels very like I'm just playing good stuff and I'm going to grind it down and I'm going to win. And I do think that is generally where he lands on deck building and playing, whereas I more often land on the like weird combos and jank stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think, Andy?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Of like, it's just good stuff and lots of card draw, which is always very powerful. I think we hear that often. Card draw is one of those powerful things you can do in a card game. Yeah. And this deck has lots of it, from Wolfsbane to One Way or Another to Spiritual Meditation, to like getting to discard the Digging Deep, getting to shuffle with Vigilante Training, because like with Zone of Silence or Upside the Head, those ones you always want to be cycling them, and so like giving you that space to be able to do that, I think is phenomenal. So yeah, I think through and through it is a solidly good spike deck. You want to have control over in a solo game. This is gonna give it to you.
Yeah. No, I dig it. I played it once only. I'm not a huge Magic fan, but I do try to play each of the decks that we talk about, so I have some familiarity with it. And yeah, it just felt very like you just kind of grind it down, and at some point you really can't lose. You're a Mystic. You've got a lot of good stuff. You're cycling good cards. Yeah. So Solo Marvel Champion, he has a ton of decks. Let's see. He has, at the time of publishing, 90 published deck lists. My God, man. He also has a YouTube channel that he linked here. Feel free to check that out. Good content, especially if you like watching solo play. All right. That is deck number, whatever that was, 5, 6?
Something.
I don't know.
Yeah.
5. You have 1 left.
I have 1 left.
I have 2 left. So I'm going to let you go.
You overachiever.
I know. Well, I threw in at the end. So...
I love that you also made sure to do one of each aspect. I lucked into the fact that my 3 are different aspects.
Well, no, I have 2 justice for those.
Oh, you did.
Or no, I had 2.
Who did we not?
I have 2 leadership, I think. I had a leadership Jubilee justice. I had a leadership and aggression on the last one.
Oh, yep. You didn't care about the green.
No, I usually do, but you got one.
I did, yeah. We made sure we got one of each aspect.
We did. And we have a bonus at the end, which fits into that. Okay, so I'm going to get your last deck here.
Yeah.
Andy, tell us about the Beastie Boys hit a stroke of genius.
Hit a stroke of genius. So in their write-up, we see we got to fight for our right to progress. This is from Board Game Kid, who I found their deck through, they have a Storm Whirlpool deck that I thought was really great, really clever. And so like whenever they posted, it was like, oh, I want to see, and saw this one. And it's a Ironheart in leadership. And particularly around getting to use Beast as the Beastie Boys reference.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, for the allies, we have Beast, Kalu, Maria Hill, Moon Girl, Nick Fury, White Tiger. For events, we have 3 Make the Calls, 2 Sneak Attacks. For player side schemes, Build Support, Call for Backup, Superpower Training. For resources, we're just adding in Energy, Genius, and Strength. For supports, we have Champions Mobile Bunker and 3 regroups. And then for upgrades, we have 1 Ingenuity and 3 Rapid Responses. So a lot of this deck is going to be around utilizing Beast to help us get to our Stroke of Genius and be able to recur that over and over again to help us get progress counters quickly. And this whole deck is actually revolved around making sure that the card draw is there to be able to get what you need and pay for it to get those resource counters. So hopefully by around turn 3 or 4, we're able to get to version 3, maybe even sooner. And one of the things that I want to call out is that this is very similar to a deck that Villain Theory did, also around Beast and recurring with Ironheart. And what I love about this is that like it's fun to see a different take on it. And like, I know sometimes we get into the whole, like, this core combo was done before, do we publish it, do we not? And I'm always a fan of, like, publishing it and getting to just see the different takes on it. And so here, that's what we have is a slightly different take on that deck. And it's great to see the way that it centers around progress counters and getting to use regroup and rapid response to help keep that stuff going. Because, like, with Beast, his is an enters play effect. So rapid response is a great target for him to just keep him coming out after he's been used and defend with him more and more so you can keep getting your stroke of genius. And then for like regroup, you have so many good allies that you want to keep playing again and again, whether it's Kalu, Maria Hill, Moon Girl, all of them. And so Kalu, after Kalu enters play, he's a 2-cost Mystic. Search the top 5 cards of your deck for an event. Add that event to your hand, shuffle your deck. So if you want to find your flyover or your photon beam, you're able to do that. And I'd be curious in a, you know, a modern take on a modern take, if something like Squared Off wouldn't make this even better to make sure that if you were to get that minion into play, you could then photo beam and just blast it out and get that extra progress counter.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you definitely could. You know, this is a little older, like you said, so that wasn't out. I do wonder if strength in numbers might not be good here. I think strength in numbers is a fun card with Riri because it allows you to draw a card and then generate a resource with Brawn, just like that. So it turns 1 resource into 2 resources. That kind of maximizing can be fun in that puzzle. Also, a lot of these allies, you can put them into play and you could draw a card with them and then let them defend or whatever. I might think about that. Sneak attack is a choice, and I think what you're saying is that Squared Off probably replaces this, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a straight swap.
I wasn't sure where I would want to replace it, but I think you're right. That sneak attack is a good call for replacing it out. Just because, you know, like some of these allies, you want them around so that you can bounce them back with regroup. And because I think with regroup, they have to be defeated in order to return to your hand.
Correct. By an enemy attack, so not just consequential.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, like, that's where I think, sneak attack, it can be great if you are in a pinch and you just need to get something down. But I do think it could be easily replaced. And then I'd be curious if organizational support would be nice. You know, if you don't need the extra cards from Champions Mobile Bunker, maybe you turn it into a resource. Same with Brawn. You know, exhaust him. And then now you have that and Brawn's resource, all without having to, and it's all mentals, which you kind of want anyway.
Yeah.
So I think there could be some interesting things if you were to look at the modern pool today. But I do want to give a shout out to Board Game Kid. I love the decks that they come up with. And I think that This one is a good one.
Board Game Kit has 8 published deck lists, as you can see on your screen here. If you're on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, you should be, just so you can follow along with us. But if you're listening, hey, thanks for listening. Here's the Storm Whirlpool deck that you mentioned. That's a Storm Pool deck. He's got a variety. No double dipping with heroes. It's all different. 8 different heroes. So good to see. Good to see someone making consistent decks and trying new things. So awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. Let me stop there. Andy, let me ask you this. How many decks do you have published, Andy?
Ooh, man. I think I'm at 72, 73 right now.
You just knew that off the top of your head?
I mean, I'm looking it up.
Oh, you're looking it up now. Okay.
Yeah.
72.
I don't know off the I think it's in the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, 74.
Do you have any reviews?
No published reviews.
I always see that sometimes people publish reviews. I've never published a review, but
yeah,
I've always wondered who does that.
Yeah, or even and even getting to read people's perspective on cards. And it's funny because I know Discord and YouTube are some of the places where we see this whole oh, that card is a bad card, why are you using it? I'm also curious if the reviews drive that same thing, or if it's they're generally positive towards the cards. I'm super curious to know.
I've read through some of them sometimes. The cool thing about the reviews is they are a snapshot in time. Right? No one is reading Discord comments about a card from 3 years ago, or if they are, they're reading it with a perspective of 3 years of play. A lot of them are just immediate takes on cards, and then it's interesting to see how they age, 4 years later.
Yeah.
Oh, how was your take about this card or that card? I think that's interesting. Okay, tangent. Villain Theory has exactly the same number of decks published as you do, 74.
No way.
I just stumbled on that as I'm browsing Marvel CDB as we record here.
Clearly, he has shown much greater success than I have.
I mean, I don't know how you gauge success. Not the points on Marvel CDB. I don't even know what that score means. That's a nonsense number. I don't even know where that number comes from. All right, we've had all 3 of yours.
Yeah.
I have.
Let's see what you got.
2 left. Are you ready, Andy?
Oh man,
one's kind of
ready.
a bonus, but.
Yeah.
Here's my last actual deck that I prepped for this. It is You Only Get One Shot. If you're watching this on YouTube, you already see the GIF. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity with a rather youthful looking Eminem. He'd probably say the same about me if he ever saw me from then and saw me now, 20 years ago. Anyway, lots of GIFs. You only get one shot. This is a rather long description. But Heroic Skeleton, who makes awesome decks. I think we had another Heroic Skeleton, didn't we? Was the first one we had Heroic Skeleton too?
I don't think the first one was. I think it was Sword of Board.
We did not. We didn't have one.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are. You only get one shot. This is a Silk Justice deck. It includes Manifold, Moon Girl, and Vivian. 3 copies of Making an Entrance, 2 copies of One Way or Another, 1 specialized training, 1 superpower training, the 3 basic double resources, and then a bunch of upgrades. 1 cell phone, 3 chance encounters, 1 heroic intuition, 1 ingenuity, 1 operative skill, 3 overwatch, 3 skilled investigator, 1 soaring acrobatics, and 1 symbiote suit. So a pretty big mix of things there.
Yeah.
If you have not played Silk, she is fairly recent as of this recording, a couple months ago. She can get aerial, so soaring acrobatics, I'm assuming, is for that. I don't think it can be played on anybody else. No, it can be. So maybe this is a multiplayer deck. So this is all around trying to pump 1 stat up and then hitting it and then doubling it with Overwatch when you're thwarting, as it says in the description here. So that's the name, right? You only get 1 chance.
Yeah.
She gets 1 big activation, so you only get 1 chance. So here he lays out some math. With Outwit and Organic Webbing, you can get 6 thwart, and then you can add Symbiote Suit, Soaring Acrobatics, Operative Skill, Heroic Intuition, Cell Phone, and Surveillance Specialist to potentially thwart for 12, and then with Overwatch you can make it 24. You could make it Making an Entrance, you could get up to 18, he says in the deck. That's crazy. That's insane. No one needs that much threat removed. But I have honestly yet to play Silk. I didn't actually play this deck before showing my ignorance now, but I didn't play this deck beforehand, but I did look at it and thought it was cool and loved the name, and so I added it into our music list. But I haven't played this one. This is a big thwart deck. This seems like a multiplayer deck. You're passing out 3 skilled investigators, and you're going to thwart a ton to bring in Manifold, who will get you either get the scoop, which is her signature, player side scheme back into play a lot, or either the other two. So pretty straightforward play pattern, but a little combo heavy. What do you think?
I like it. I think that's a fun way to do multiplayer and center on the activations. And then the song, it's all
song
really
slaps.
good. It does.
Yeah.
Especially like while you're playing this deck. I definitely think at some point I really do want to take some of these decks, get like a 4-player game going, and then have the playlist be like from those bands. Just to let that be going in the background. I do think going from Eminem to I don't know, some of these might be a jump. But
yeah, Paul Simon to Eminem. Yeah.
Right?
House of Pain. Yeah.
That would be such a jump. But it'd be so fun. Like, that'd be what a fun way to have a game night and take on Rhino or someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the deck itself, solid deck. I love, one way or another, great way to get a side scheme out there. And, it helps her out in that you want to tuck cards. And if you can take out a couple of side schemes, like, tuck those cards, get moving with the work. And then, I think it's always great to recenter, because I remember what Captain America had followed, which made the whole side scheme thwarting archetype be a thing.
Yep.
But I love seeing it come back, especially with cards like Chance Encounter, Overwatch. I know Followed isn't in here, but like you could easily, if you want to soloize this and get some damage going, add that in instead of something like maybe Overwatch. But then you're missing out on the big the big push. But either way, I think it's a great deck. It looks like a fun Silk deck.
Yeah, I like the side scheme thing. I wish they would do more with it. Chance Encounter and Followed and Overwatch, and that's kind of it, I think.
Yeah.
I wish there was more things that you could attach. I mean, there are some other ones like the Direct Approach, and there's a Protection one where you can defend.
Containment strategy.
There are some like that, but not quite the same. I wish there was more of that. I like how Justice leans into side schemes, so finding more ways to attach things to side schemes to get a benefit, I think is really cool, and I'd like to see more of those. You could do all kinds of stuff with it, right? Shuffle one of your cards back in. Every player shuffles a card in, or whoever. Like, you could do stuff.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. That's cool. So that is the other one there.
He did not throw away his shot.
He did not miss his shot. You only get one shot, and he didn't mess around. He got one shot. Heroic Skeleton, another one. Great deck. 45 published deck lists. He also has a blog. That's right. I should mention that. It's called Caught Off Guard MC. There's a link here. If I remember, I will put a link in the description. If I don't, if you're watching the video this far, you can find it yourself. Just Google it. It's pretty new, but he's done a few interesting articles recently, and it's worth checking out. And it's good to have more content creators in different formats. And it's got a written format instead of a audio or visual like I do, so it's cool.
All right, so what's your surprise deck? I've been waiting all episode for this.
I know, Andy, you're being slightly disingenuous because you know what it is, but the people don't know what it is. So let me share it with the people.
I was just channeling them.
I know, and I love that about you. So this one is called "The Bird Is the Word."
Another song gets stuck in my head.
It's an older song. So this is a new deck, and I did say Falcon is pretty new. We are recording this the week after Falcon is released. So I have probably 7 to 10 plays in with Falcon at this point. I played him a lot.
Nice.
Opening weekend.
Oh, man.
Played him through a whole campaign and then some. I was very, very, very excited for Falcon to come out. He was one of the ones I've been super hyped about. I'll leave it for another time to talk about my thoughts on Falcon. But
sure.
This is a pool deck, so we have all the aspects represented today.
Yeah.
As you wanted, Andy. So, Villain Theory, I don't think needs an introduction.
I'm sorry, who is
anything. Who is this guy? He's pretty well known. If you are listening to this, I'm sure you know who Villain Theory is, but he has a bunch of fake internet points on Marvel CDB. He publishes awesome decks. I'll read through this one. So it's Falcon, Sam Wilson. It includes Cannonball, Cosmo, Nick Fury, Professor X, and Vivian. He has 1 Cut Upper, 1 Get Ragey, and 1 Mulligan. He has the 3 basic doubles, the 3 pool potential triples, self-confidence, self-control, and self-preservation. He has 1 power in All of Us and 3 copies of the power in Flight. Man, that's a lot of resources. Yeah. He also has Avengers Mansion, Helicarrier, and Team-Building Exercise. Upgrades, he has Healing Factor, Rock, Paper, Scissors, Soaring Acrobatics, and War. Whew. That is a lot of cards. It's 40, but so many one-ofs, it feels like more than that. I will point you to the diagram of the cost curve, which is just about perfect. It is an inverted V, like almost perfect V. This is all about Red Wing. So this is one way to play Falcon, which is to spam Red Wing again and again. I did that as well for one of the games I played. I find that gets very boring very fast. I'm not pooping on Villain Theory's deck. It does other things as well, but it's built around a strategy of sinking resources into doing Red Wing, and it's effective. And if you want to spike it out, that's probably the best play a lot of times. But there's only so many times I can pick a card up and put it down again before I ultimately just get a little bored. So it is a huge resource sink, and it's great that when you have resources, you can just sink them into that. It's great that you have that escape valve. So there is a fairly lengthy description here. Please check it out. He does put a lot of time and testing into these decks, so I think when he publishes them, they're pretty... Like, they've been put through the ringer a few times. This is not just an idea that he, tossed on the Marvel CDB one night after a few drinks. Instead, I think it's something he's really tested. So... check it out, but that's the bonus. I have not played this deck, but Villain Theory, if you're listening, I'm sure it's awesome.
It looks great. It looks so solid, and I love the using the resources. Like, if I can just interject on the resources, I know pool, like the resource sink thing is a huge part of it, but like I just think. We talk so much about what the right level of resources are. I know I'm a little higher up in that than others are.
Yep.
And so it's always fun to see that turn on its head a little bit for heroes, where it's like 10 resources. And he doesn't even have his own identity-specific resources. It's just 10 resources.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I love it. I think that's awesome.
So when you're building a deck, Andy, and you are thinking about adding, let's set pool aside. When you're thinking about adding the power of anything, do you have like a magic number, like a threshold of how many targets you want to have for something when you're putting it in?
So this is an area that I feel kind of different in, which is I don't do it based on number. So I do it based on what I want to hint you towards. So when you draw a resource, I want whatever the goal of the deck is for that resource to hint you to do that thing. Because like... I'm not too worried if I have to spend it as a 1 to whatever it is. Like, that doesn't bother me as much. I don't feel like I'm losing efficiency. But if I really want you to have big thwarts, I might include Passion for Justice, whether you have 5 thwart cards in that deck or 10 thwart cards, because every time you draw Passion for Justice, I want you to think, where's my thwart card? Now, hopefully I've built it in a way that anytime you draw that resource, you'll find the right use for it. But I usually don't do it based on number, but I do it based on what I want to hint you towards for the deck.
Interesting. That is interesting. I think a lot of people have like a formula, like a number that you want to hit, and I don't know if they have like one number. It's a little fluid. I think it kind of...
Yeah, I hear a lot of those like, 7 targets or 8 targets.
And I don't know where
Do you have one?
I'm in that range. I'm in the like 7 to 9 range, but for me it depends on so many other factors. It's not just like I want to put in, power protection. Do I have at least 8 cards that have... It's like, there's other things that go into it, for protection, for example. I think What Doesn't Kill Me plays into that, and I think those 3 cards count for more in that formula because it's a specific resource requirement, so that makes sure I can play that and only play that, because to me, I think of, if it has a resource requirement, it's almost like a 2.5 cost. It's 2 costs. It's not a 3 cost, but it's like 2 and change because you have to have a specific one. So that just means I can hit it. So if I only have 5 targets in that deck, it's okay because that counts from in my mind. And then I just play it and I just see what I have in my hand. Like, am I often playing Falcon and I just have a Power of Flight with nothing to do? Well, that's a sign for me that I just have too many of them in there. But somebody else might play the same deck and think, nope, this is the right number. It's a play pattern thing and it's a preference thing. So I don't have like a hard number.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, like I would never actually build this, but just as an example, like if you really wanted to center to where every time you were playing a swinging web kick, and you really want people to just like, hey, every time I want you to play it, then I think 3 Power of Flights with the 3 doubles could be really effective to make sure that you're always able to do it, because your chances of being able to pay for 1 or 2 in hand is so easy to go off. And for people that don't know, swinging web kick, 3 cost, deal 8 damage. It is aerial traded, so you can use the power of flight in order to pay for it. Now, granted, I if you were to do that, I hope you would put some other aerial oriented cards in there for it. However, yeah, I think like that's valid for someone who just, you want to make sure that you're able to play the cards well, that you are wanting to play. Like,
Now I want to build a Spider-Man deck with Power of Flight to help pay for Swing Web Kick, and you could put some aerial allies in there and use them for like bombs away, because you don't have to be aerial to play bombs away. Some of them you have to be aerial, like Pitchback you just can't play in a Spider-Man deck. But bombs away you could if you exhaust Vivian, and you could play bombs away. I don't know.
And then all of a sudden Soaring Acrobatics becomes useful to you, because like it's just an aerial character. So if you're going aerial allies, like if you want Wasp in there, like increase Wasp.
Yeah. I think that new card, Resource Reserve, which we previewed thanks to Fancy Flight on the Winning Hand podcast, but also just came out with Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's a fun one, and I kind of want to play around in a multiplayer setting of like bringing a sideboard of resource cards and seeing what people have. Am I playing with a Spider-Man player? Well, then maybe I'll just put Power Flight in there, and when you draw into Swing a Web Kick, you can take that card and you can help us pay for it. Like, am I, whatever it is, just finding a way to like, oh, you're playing this or that, and I can add some things in that. I don't know, just a way to make a multiplayer game fun. So, all right, we talked through a lot of decks today, Andy.
Woo! Man, it feels good.
Yeah,
lots of fun plays.
Yeah, we have. This is a monthly episode now, so we'll have another one in July. This should come out before the end of June? Question mark. Yeah. Boomguy's got to do some editing. Yeah, I think the cards we talked about, the decks talked today, were fun. As always, I appreciate you being here. Next time, I don't know what the theme is going to be, but I think we'll be some fun. And thanks for coming, and I will see you next time. And everybody else, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening, and stay cool out there, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.